Right, we should be back in Euro trucking in... Well, we should be back in Euro trucking right now, actually.
Well, it's all looking good on my end.
Alright then. Ah yes, the truck. Man, as you might remember, in the last episode we spent pretty much all the money we had on doing this thing. And that was several weeks ago. Now we are back in action, and I'm not entirely sure that this was a terribly good idea. Oh well, where are we? Are we in Rotterdam? Apparently we are. In the good old Netherlands. People want us to bring dangerous chemicals to Poland. Huh. Okay. Or how about a really urgent delivery of fragile cargo? Man, there's a lot to pick from here.
Well, which one would you consider the most dangerous?
Well, the most dangerous to the customer is probably the tableware one, but the most dangerous to me is definitely the diesel delivery. Either that or the acid delivery, I'm not entirely sure which one, actually. Why do people need so much acid, anyway?
Maybe the Joker order?
I suppose. Well, let's go to Stuttgart, shall we? Let's see if I remember how to play this video game. Professional acid delivery man, Arthur Wolf. Here we go.
I'm pretty sure you can get arrested for that.
Great got shit on me! Ah! Why am I in this view anyway? I don't want to be in this view. How do I... There we go. Okay, let's see, where the hell are we going? I have no idea. Hello, Sacrificial Toast. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Let's see.
Just on time, in fact.
No better time to arrive than just when it starts. Man, I can't believe that I spent so much money on this interior, seriously. It was like, what, $15,000 or something, and things turned brown instead of plastic. It's not even real leather. Huh, and apparently the parking brake is a little thing there. I had no idea a truck's parking brake could be placed there. Well, the more you know.
And knowing is half the trucking?
Yes. The other half consists almost entirely of booze, however. Don't tell anyone, though. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Acid to Stuttgart. We are the acid drivers. Let's see, we're probably going to have to stop over for fuel soon, though. My salmon-colored truck will be the ultimate acid transport. Also, I have completely forgotten what button turns on the warning light, so we're going to have that orange flashing light on top of us for the entire drive. I hope you don't mind. Well, Chief, if you do mind, that's your problem. Why don't you go watch a different stream if you can't handle the flashing, huh? Huh? Oh god, please stay. Let's see. You ever been to Rotterdam's Shining?
Not that I can recall.
Neither have I. Well then, have you been to Stuttgart?
No, I never visited Germany.
Well, there you go.
I think about as far as I ever managed to get was Belgium.
Welp.
But anyway, you were saying?
Let's see, how did I... Oh, that's right. Ah, look at that, I actually remembered what button the wipers were. I am a great truck driver. What I was about to say is that I have been in the vicinity of Stuttgart, but I've never actually been in the city. I stopped over at an airport when I was going somewhere. Cyprus, maybe. Can't quite recall. I have been in many nations in my day, and I usually do not recall what year it was or why I was there. Just that I was. Got a bit of a side wind. Well, we can work with that. I'm not concerned with fuel, though. We only have fuel for roughly another 550 kilometers, so we're probably going to have to do that. It's too bad we didn't grab the diesel delivery, I realized. And we could just, you know, pump some over into our truck. No one would ever notice.
Well, if they did, we'd probably be long gone by then.
Locop brings up a good point. It might be an acid that is either combustible or reacts well with diesel, so we might try just flinging some acid in there into the tank as well. See what happens. Let's see, fuel stuff. Whoa, what's happened here? Oh well, none of my business. I do not care about other people in the traffic. They're just there. Chief keeps insisting that I should be competing with the awesome Games Done Quick marathon currently running.
Well,
the difference,
no
of course, being that... Yeah. See, the difference between them and me is that they are roughly 60 people, carefully organized, and they have several years of these streams behind them, and they're doing it for the Prevent Cancer Foundation charity, so... Really, honestly, you should probably be watching that instead of this, I realize. What the hell? Shit, I should be watching it rather than be playing this silly game. I'm just sticking to my schedule.
Well, I've got the marathon open in another tab.
Well, there you go. Not even my co-commentator cares. Oh, goodness. Well, someone's gotta drive the truck. That someone is me. Actually, hold on. I want to... There we go. I don't want those mirrors. I don't care for mirrors.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's at least nice that the guys running the marathon that they've already managed to get over $100,000 by now.
Called it. They pretty much always massively overshoot their original goal because they continuously underestimate the power of gamers with disposable income. Ah, Brussels. No, we're not going to Brussels. I've been to Brussels. I didn't like it. So I went shooting today, by the way. A multi-time national champion was visiting the local sport shooting club, so I decided to show up. It was pretty neat. I learned that having been sort of inactive in regards to shooting for such a long time means that my accuracy is way down. But by the end of the session I was at least still plugging 8s and 9s at the 25-yard line, so I won't complain.
So, did you manage to hit anything and it only finally died like several hours later?
Oh no, I mean I had all of my shots on target, it's just that my points were rather low. Sport shooting is a bit different from what Americans, for example, call shooting, because I shoot at a target that is smaller than a man's torso at 25 meters, one-handed. And I like to compare the black section, the one that you're supposed to actually place your rounds into, to be slightly bigger than a man's head. And I can usually put all 5 rounds in there in less than 20 seconds if I feel like it.
Oh, then I'm sorry. I guess I was thinking of something completely different.
Archery, perhaps. I've done archery as well. Or knife throwing. Knife throwing is really fun. Wow, this asshole, did you seriously pass me specifically just to break? Oh, you. And we're passing into the Netherlands. Looks a lot like Belgium.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
I wonder what the people in the Netherlands think about my crazy truck when it slides past, seriously. There's a guy with emergency lights on, dozens of horns, 2,000 extra lamps, 16,000 gallons of acid in the back. Where is he going, they ask. And why with so much acid?
I don't know, it's kind of a shame that Future Fred isn't here today. Then we could have asked him.
I really should keep doing what I've been doing and basically build up a steady library of guests from every nation in the world. So that no matter where we go in Euro Trucker or any other game, I can just call people up on Skype and go, hey, we're in country X, you live in country X, tell us about country X. Oh, so stop riding the line? Oh, okay, I'll ride on the line, huh? Now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna do? Yeah. You won't do shit. You won't do shit. Don't even try, sire. Look at me, look at me. I can be on the line if I feel like it. I dominate. I own this line. But I'm going to let others use it because I'm a nice guy. If the stream is being a bit jittery for anyone, I did get a bit of a error message from the stream itself before I started. And of course Awesome Games Done Quick is probably ruining the servers at the moment.
That's probably understandable considering how many people are watching it.
But if you're having stream chugging problems, I feel bad for your son. Got 99 problems, but bandwidth ain't one. And by that I mean it really shouldn't be on my end, because I definitely have the upspeed available at the moment. No report or anything. So I think it honestly is just the Twitch servers being completely destroyed by the unusual number of people watching things. My acid got stuck on something. But it's okay, I'm loose now. Let's see. No, Sia, we have not had any offensive deliveries yet, I think. No, not that guy I can remember. This is an awfully boring game in that regard, that it's very realistic in what you're actually delivering, so... no silly stuff most of the time. Except when you get that freaking open top container filled with explosives and they just expect you to drive down the highway without an escort. Which makes no sense. Why would you ever do that? Let's see, now we're entering Germany. Herzlich zu Deutschland willkommen. So, my experiences with Germany. Great bread. I love German bread culture. I'm a big bread fan. They have amazing bread. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. If you need to learn anything else about the Germans, open a history book. Actually don't, because it gives a sort of a negative picture of both the nation and its people. Germany is actually a very nice country. It's incredibly stable, has a burgeoning IT sector, excellent infrastructure. People are hard workers. It's probably the most dominant country in the European Union right now. Which of course means that we Nordics are extremely jealous. I mean, sure, we have quality of life, but we do not have the industrial ability to, you know, just dominate entire markets like Germany or France or the UK do. That is why we are slowly but surely exporting Nordic culture through streams and LPs. And soon... soon everyone will speak Swenglish. I seriously hope that doesn't ever happen, because Swenglish is terrible. Let's see, is someone transporting gas? Oh god, look at how scared that tanker is. Oh, oh! Wait, that's not a face, is it? No, that's not a face. Oh. Darn it. Oh wait, I'm supposed to go down here. Whoops.
Well, I guess personally, as far as exposure to Germany goes, the only thing that I'm aware of is, I don't know, I guess it was this one TV show. What was it called? I think, well, at least over here they called it, Commissars Rex.
Oh, goodness gracious, no. Ah, that was on Swedish television as well. Holy crap. Why did you have to remind me that that exists? How many seasons of that show did they make, anyway? I mean...
I honestly have no idea. I only saw it far enough that they actually killed off the dog's original master and they had to get someone else.
Yeah, I think they switched who was the dog's owner like 3 times. I mean, I honestly think that the series lasted longer than the original dog did. It was just one of those things that, you know, came on at like 3 AM every night on 1 or 2 channels here in Sweden for a decade. And I don't understand why, because no one ever watched it. It's one of those series that has been on TV for like 15 years, and you can bring it up and no one has ever seen a single episode. Everyone just knows of it, but no one actually knows anything about it. At the moment I feel like a bit like a moving rave party or something. Just lights everywhere. And now Chief is absolutely elated that we brought up Rex. God damn it. God, I can't see anything. Just how dark is this road anyway? Jesus.
You know, it's times like this that all those extra lights might have actually helped, but no.
Nope, because they don't activate unless you activate high beams. And I don't actually know the toggle button for high beams. I can only flash them, I believe. Like so. And if I do that at traffic, they actually fine me. So I want to avoid that if at all possible. And now nefariousness brings up the one thing that Germany will never be forgiven for. Uwe Boll.
I don't know, is he actually still making movies?
Of course he is. The thing is, though, that they changed how that tax evasion trick worked for filmmakers, so he doesn't have as much money to work with now. Back when he was really active, he basically got free money for making films. And lots of people would invest in his films in order to be able to write it off, because if you put like $500,000 into a film, you got $2 million worth of, just loser tax. So that was a really great investment, because people didn't give a shit if the movie made a profit or not. In fact, it was better if it didn't make a profit. And that's why they loved Boll, because he makes horrible, horrible films that no one sees. So they never make a profit. It's perfect.
So, was basically the producers in real life?
Yep, only Uwe Boll is completely convinced that he is a visionary, and he challenged people to a boxing match to prove that he was a good director, and then he punched people in the face.
Yeah, I remember that. I think he even beat the crap out of Richard Lotex Kyanka.
Yep. Our good old friend Lotex himself got into the ring and got smacked around. Mainly because Uwe Boll is a former amateur heavyweight boxer, and he actually went through the list of people who said that they were willing to get in the ring, and he specifically just took everyone that had any sort of previous fighting experience or martial arts experience and took them off the list, which means that if you could actually fight back, he refused to fight you. But as long as you weighed like 50 pounds less than he did, like Lotex probably did, and had no previous boxing experience, he was more than happy to get into the ring with you. So not only is he a moron that can't make films, he is also a coward that only fights people that don't know how to fight back. Uwe Boll is living scum, basically, is what I'm saying. And now that I've said this, I'm probably going to get hit by a liberal suit or something. Because he is very big on... What the hell? There was just a car standing in the middle of the road, facing the wrong way. What the hell? What was he doing there? I mean, if he was parked on the side of the road, I could understand it, but he was actually parked in the middle of the road, staring at me. That's not safe. By the way, I can tell by the time it takes for the chat to respond to things that we're saying here that we are definitely chugging along today. The Twitch service must be going insane.
Yeah, the lag is pretty bad. So half the time I pretty much have no idea what the hell you're going on about.
Sounds about right, I was about to say. Half the time I don't know what I'm going on about. I'm feeling really nervous. I don't want to accidentally drive into another car parked the wrong way on the road. It was almost unsettling somehow.
Ah, now I see it.
Wait, you only just got around to that?
Yup.
Holy shit, Twitch, what are you doing? But apparently I read in the streaming thread that there had been some previous problems with Twitch lately for people here and there in the world. So it might be that they're in the middle of changing the server infrastructure, or something is just going horribly, horribly wrong, and they are not admitting that something is going horribly, horribly wrong. Either case, it's good to know that it's not my fault. Oh hey! Actual, honest-to-God streetlights. Wonderful. Oh crap. Chief said something in the chat, but I didn't see when he said it. Let's see. Well, we're roughly in the same minute at least. Oh there, let's see. Sacrificial Toast just said hi. Okay. Let's see how long that takes to come around. Oh, only like 10 seconds. Well done.
Yeah, I refreshed the stream a minute or so back, and the lag seems to have gotten a little bit less noticeable now.
That's good to know, at least. Nefariousness blames Denmark. Being Swedish, can do nothing but agree. Swedes enjoy indicting the Danes for pretty much everything.
I'm probably going to regret this, but what's the deal with Denmark?
Well, what's the deal with Denmark? Well, it's basically like this. The moment Sweden became a country, Denmark was like all up in our grill. And we were like, oh yeah. And then we spent roughly 500 years just beating on one another. And then we ended up becoming the same nation, more or less, or rather that we formed a union with them. And then the Danish king Christian II decided, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna chop the head off every noble I can find in Stockholm. Ha 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 ha. And he did. Now, the surviving Swedish nobles didn't like that very much. Among one of them, Gustav Vasa, who went on to start a rebellion and basically freed Sweden from the yoke of the evil King Christian II. Also, the Swedish history books say, naturally. And he became the father of what is today Sweden, in 1524. Now, the Danes naturally did not like the idea of losing the entirety of Sweden, since, you know, we have plenty of natural resources, and a nation of that size was sort of handy, politically speaking. So they fought us on and off again, and we raided them, and they raided us, you know, a bit of limited genocide because we felt like it. And it took roughly until the early 19th century before we figured, you know what, let's just bury the hatchet and stop this because it's getting silly. And okay, Brainamp states that he actually managed to get almost 4 minutes of lag. What the hell, Twitch? How do you even? So Sacrificial Toast had 10 seconds of lag, while Brainamp over in the US had 4 minutes. You're not even watching the same stream at this point, are you? And yes, as Nefariousness points out, Christian II was also known as Christian the Merciful by the Danes. Not so much by the Swedes, seeing as he chopped the heads of so many people in Stockholm that the blood literally ran down the streets, all the way down to the harbour. Although, well, it's all ancient history, basically. Denmark and Sweden haven't been at war for like 150 years now, I think. Even more. Then again, Sweden basically stopped the whole war thing roughly 150 years ago as well, so... we haven't really fought anyone since then. Man, I'm sure I'm glad I have a GPS, because otherwise I would have no idea where I was. Yes, yeah, we are basically waiting. The Swedes and Danes are just basically waiting for another excuse to start killing each other. Only by killing each other we mean drink one another under the table. Basically, drunk Danes visit southern Sweden, and Swedes visit, well, drunken Swedes visit Copenhagen, and we just drink together and fight a bit and get into arguments about who has the better sports team and so on. Meanwhile, Norway just enjoys life and wins everything that has to do with skiing. Oh, Chief, that's not nice. It's true that the Danes were a bit jerkish towards the Estonians, you know, what with all that burning villages and sinking ships filled with refugees and stuff like that back in the good old days, but come on. They've changed. They're actually decent people now, like most nations north of Germany. Whoa, 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 whoa. Holy crap.
Well, he didn't fall over, so no harm, no foul.
The hell? That guy just came barreling out from that other road. What the hell? Jesus Christ. Visit a service station immediately, says the game, because your truck is falling apart. Wow. And Yayifications reminds us, remember, there are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Wow, we're actually suffering engine malfunctions now. Great. This is going to be interesting. Let's see, is there any visible damage? No, we're fine. Perfectly fine. Not a problem. It is, of course, entirely possible in this game to just wreck yourself to the point that your truck actually falls apart. I've seen a wonderful screenshot where the top half of the cab has just fallen off the engine part of the cab. And it's just sitting next to the truck, almost going, well, this isn't very good, is it? And yes, yeah, I did get fined quite a bit, but that's okay. Now, Alistor, my ranking will only be affected by how much damage the actual transported goods suffer, so we're still fine, actually. As horrific as that may sound. As long as the acid is okay, they don't give a shit. I could arrive in a burning heap of scrap as long as that trailer was still attached and unharmed. For some reason, looking at the GPS, I can't help but feel the route that it's told me to take looks a bit weird. Something off about the whole thing. Well, at least I have my warning lights on, so if this whole thing just decides to spontaneously combust, people should actively be keeping their distance if they know what's best for them. Still 25% damage, goddamn, that is going to be really expensive. Oh hey, Brainer wants to know, do I have an opinion on Peter Molyneux? Yes, I do. I have a very strong opinion on Peter Molyneux. He used to be amazing when he had other creative people that actually forced him to do what he was supposed to do. But the moment people started calling him a genius and he went off and, you know, took control over his own studio, that just ended any chance of him making many more good games. Seriously, I honestly have not much enjoyed any Lionhead Studios game, except perhaps the first Fable, I guess, because it was silly. And even then, just because it was the only decent action RPG on the Xbox for a while. And I had a friend who had it, so we used to play it and fought at ladies and things, because we thought that was funny, because we're teenagers.
I don't know, I think I remember buying the PC version of that for my brother a couple of years back.
Oh, hello. Brainamp is going to do a Fable trilogy LP. Well, that's interesting. If you're going to be running the PC version of Fable 3, I might actually join you for some co-op there, Brainamp. Of course, the funny thing is that since I have a Game for Windows Live version, the last time I wanted to play that game with someone, Frankenstein in this case, it took 3.5 hours to make the game playable. I was not amused. I mean, seriously, I had to individually download certain pieces of free DLC in order to be allowed to connect to multiplayer games. Whatever flip-flap flying fuck, Microsoft. What the hell?
That's pretty stupid.
I mean, if it had been a Steam game, I would have double-clicked that shit, it would have installed the game, and then I would have played it. But due to Game for Windows Live being what it is, that... I mean... I had to go to their freaking technical support forum to see if it was actually meant to be the way it was, or if it was just something that was horribly, horribly broken. And then they basically said, well, this version of the installers had this little unfortunate bug, so you might want to go into your registry and change these entries. And I'm like, okay. So... a first-party software developer makes software so bad that you have to delete registry keys manually in order to be able to make it work. Huh. There you go.
I guess that's one of the few times where you might have been better off with a console version.
Maybe. But I don't have a 360. And I do not intend to get one either.
Well, I guess there isn't really that much point if you've already got a PS3, since it's all multi-platform these days.
And as Lurkopter brings up, let's not forget that Game for Windows Live forces patches to go through Q&A, Microsoft's Q&A, which means that it can take weeks, if not months, for a basic patch to fix crashing or issues or basic bugs to actually go through. In addition, they fall under the same rules as all the other Xbox Live content in that it actually costs money to release a patch. Because the QA guys need to get paid. So the developer actually has to pay a fee in order to be able to patch their game. Now just step back for a moment and think about that. And yes, as Lurkopter brings up also, they do actually sort of disapprove of free post-launch content because it takes up space on their service and, well, you know, their server software and all that is pretty shit already. So adding more things to the database without getting paid for it is not something they enjoy.
Yeah,
so if you have free shit, they actually go, you know what, can't you sell that shit instead?
Yeah, I think I recall something like that happening when they released Left 4 Dead 2 for Xbox 360.
No, hey, this is probably one of the... Have we actually ever had this ranked for satisfactory?
That's what she said?
In your case, I doubt it. Anyway. Let's see. We're in Stuttgart. We really need to get into Stuttgart so we can visit the freaking mechanic. Oh god. Oops. Let's get out of here before they notice. And yes, as Bradenham points out, when it comes basically to digital delivery services, it's good to have competition, but when Valve and their Steam service is roughly 9,000% better than any other service on the market, it sort of becomes irrelevant in a sense. I mean, you have shit like Origin that doesn't even start the game through the launcher, it just demands that you have the launcher there, otherwise you're not allowed to play the game. And don't even get me started on Uplay and that bullshit, holy shit.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, considering that last time I decided to play Driver San Francisco on Steam, I pretty much had to go to my game library and start up the game, and then it started up Uplay, and then I had to start up Driver again in order to be able to fucking play the damn thing.
And while you were playing it, Ubisoft had direct access to what you were doing on your computer because Uplay includes a rootkit. Whoops. Engine malfunction at a green light. No! You have discovered a recruitment agency. Hooray! Man, my truck is beat up to hell. I wonder, is this even going to work? Am I going to be able to get over there without it falling apart? Still no green light? Come on, the road is empty. Thank you. Few things are more annoying than sitting at an empty road watching a red light.
That was kind of weird. Isn't it supposed to normally go from red light straight to green?
Nope.
Well, it does in the Netherlands.
Oh god. Well, all the money from that job just disappeared into fixing the truck. Wap wap wap. Let's see. Tappan wants us to keep going south, but I'm not entirely sure we have any southbound ones actually. Do we? No. Seems awfully limited in that regard actually. I guess we could just free drive a bit. Oh, hello. This, though, this I like. Urgent delivery of dynamite. You have to drive as fast as you can to get that shit over there, son. That is great. I wish I could do that job from here. Sadly, I can't. But actually, come to think about it, what does the quick job market look like? Shitloads of arsenic. Oh, here we go. We can actually do that job, but we will be using someone else's truck.
Actually, if you're using someone else's truck, do you have to pay for any damages?
Seriously, let's take this job. It doesn't pay very well, but I just really like the idea of driving like a maniac while schlepping several tons of dynamite. Activating maniac mode. The thing is that Aberdeen was actually our starting point too. Our company's here. Main garage. Let's see, let's try and drive this one from the third person view actually. We almost never do third person driving because it's terrible. Let's give it a shot. Now, some people in the chat are noting that they want to know what's happened to Henry. Well, Henry is still out there, he's still driving around and he's still being useless. I suppose you're not really surprised.
Some things never change, I guess.
Yeah. Still, it's not as bad as the guy I saw in a screenshot that was actually bringing in, on average, negative money per mile. I mean, that takes fucking effort. Henry is basically driving the basic Scania truck at the moment. I don't think he needs an upgrade either with the way he's been performing. He probably just wastes more fuel. Buddy Cripple, you have to understand, I'm schlepping several tons of dynamite. I drive wherever the hell I please. Oh, well, so you mean the truck I'm driving? Well, it's actually a Scania top line as well, which means that it's roughly the same truck we've been driving so far. Only not quite as sexy. Well, so you know, Scania is a Swedish brand, so I felt that, yeah. As we covered, a Volvo is actually also in the game, but it couldn't actually get the license, so it's called Valiant or something instead.
And there is a specific mod for that, just to put it back in.
Yep. That was sort of weird actually, because it said, oh, you don't have lights on. And then I just completely lost control of the truck. Not sure what was up with that. It's like the wheel just stopped responding all of a sudden. Weird. Yeah, no explosion left. It's only 13% damaged. It should be smoking and sparking a bit, but not exploding. Just like in other video games. Also, I had noted that, man, I am driving like shit today. I'm probably just a bit out of practice. Also, fuck third person mode. Seriously, holy shit. Shit is terrible.
Well, seems like the Buddy Cripple wants to guess as well.
Yeah. Let's see, do you have him on your Skype list so you can bring him in, or do I have to tab down there?
I'm afraid I don't have him in my contacts list.
Oh, darn. Well done. Let's see if we can... Engine malfunction! Come on, you stupid thing. See, you're fine. Stop. God damn it.
See alert.
See, we're fine. We're fine. Completely fine. Buddy Gribble, let me try and get to a good parking spot here and I will call you up. I must say, I really like the idea of using someone else's truck and just ramming it into other trucks and going, well, looks like it broke. And then he goes, wait, holy shit, I recognize you. Don't you actually own a trucking company? And you just run away, laughing. Thanks for letting me wreck your truck, competitor. Wreck. Bruk, 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 bruk.
Oh.
It's getting a bit tricky to drive this thing.
Okay, let's see if this works.
Oh god. Oh god!
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Hey, how's it going?
Shining!
Hmm?
Oh god. I'm
What
stuck.
did you do, Arthur?
I'm stuck.
Whoops.
You're carrying dynamite, you know. You have a responsibility here.
I'm the one who's supposed to be responsible. Someone just brought up a Skype window right in the way of my game. I couldn't even control the truck anymore since the game didn't have focus.
Welp. Just as planned. The Skype terrorist, that's me. Do you have your hazard lights on?
I have all the lights on. When the engine is running, that is.
Do people actually like back up for you if you have your hazard lights on?
Not really, sadly.
Oh.
They pretend to, I was about to say, but... This is a big right mess you've gotten me into. Let's
Yeah,
see.
well. Either way, I'm glad to finally get in on a Trucking Tuesday. I actually like this game.
I am probably not getting out of here, am I? No, doesn't seem like it.
Your engine is
Assistant
weak.
service! Let's see. Oh,
Maybe
okay.
there's a respawn button or something. Oh,
It will take me back to Aberdeen. Well, that's terrible.
that's the price you pay.
I didn't do anything wrong, though. I wonder if I can just abandon this job, period, I was about to say.
Just abandon the dynamite. Leave it in the middle of the road.
Yeah, let's just leave, yeah.
In my version of the game, they spell they forget the E at the end of dynamite, and it really annoys me.
That's because it's Swedish. Dynamit.
Ah,
I don't think that's it, though.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I'm playing the Swedish version of the game. I would have noticed. Maybe I should. Maybe it'll have Scandinavia unlocked.
Well, it seems that... We don't actually have ground contact with our drive wheel.
I don't know, I would apologize for this, but this is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
For you, maybe.
Well, that's all that really matters.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Looks like we're going to Aberdeen. Maybe you could unattach the trailer.
I tried that. Right, and it's still broken. Great.
Is there an option to get out and push your truck?
Okay, because 90,000 just to fix the damn truck. You know what?
It ain't even your truck.
I wonder what the punishment is for actually abandoning a job. Let's have a look.
I've never done it either. I don't know.
I've generally been an incredibly responsible driver.
I don't know about that. That's kind of a stretch. Incredibly responsible.
Oh no, a penalty fee of 12,000. Well, that's roughly 1/8 of what I would pay to actually fix the truck and get this shit back on the road, so... Wow. Oh hey, someone wants to bring ammo from Rotterdam to Aberdeen. That sounds like a lot more fun. There we go, we'll just pay the fee, say screw you assholes and get into a different truck. Right then, off we go.
So why are you taking quick jobs anyway? Just a change of pace?
Yeah, and we want to try and keep going south, but there were no actually no jobs taking us south.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. Kind of want to explore different places, but then all the jobs just take me to places I've already been to.
Sounds about right. Interestingly enough, though, you do get an experience bonus for just free driving, so... They actually reward you for not doing jobs and just being a regular truck driving asshole.
Just driving a truck for fun.
Whee! Trucks! Still, I do love the message you get at the start of the game that finally you can live your dream of driving a truck. And you're like, yeah! Trucks! I don't even care about the traffic dolls anymore.
I'm sure there's some people for which being a truck driver is their dream job.
These people have most likely never driven a truck in their lives.
Instead they have to play simulators.
I wish simulators had more to do with the action, you know, what they were simulating. This game at least is sort of close. But I played so many Sims on these streams, and most of them have nothing whatsoever to do with what they're supposed to be simulating. It sort of annoys me after a while.
Actually, now I'm kind of curious. Which simulator would you personally consider to be the worst simulator you've ever played?
Oh, that is hard.
I'm gonna guess Woodcutter.
Yeah, I mean, that was bad for some reason. I mean, that was mainly just so incredibly frustrating because it controlled so poorly. But then we have shit like the Bugger Simulator, you know, where I was in that giant digging machine, and no matter what I did, the game just screamed, you're an idiot, stop doing that, you're an idiot. And there was no actual tutorial. That was special. Brainab wants to know if you have actually done The Sims. No, I have not yet done The Sims. But speaking of, thank you very much, Dota, because he suddenly gave me a free copy of The Sims 3 a few weeks back. So I figured that once we're done with Dragon's Dogma, I'll just put your dad and your kid and whatever love interest we end up with in Dragon's Dogma into that game instead.
Oh, that's perfect.
Just keep building a little family. Right.
Now I'm imagining what the what the your house looks like.
It's not actually a house, just beds standing out in the open. Surrounding just a giant pool.
And a wrestling ring. Have you ever used the channel tunnel in this?
You can only go through the channel tunnel by train, apparently.
Hmm.
Which is a bit sad, but...
Yeah.
I guess they didn't really see any point in just putting a big old line that lasts for a few minutes. I suspect that the UK is also a different area, so they would have to have a loading screen anyway.
Am I the only person who really wishes they'll like come out with an expansion that has, Scandinavia and Spain and all that?
No, I agree. I mean, this is the sort of game where DLC would be obvious, really. I mean, just add the rest of Europe, and there, congratulations, you're done. Good work. Grimsby. A place so dark and grim that it's in the name. It is also a city with Viking history.
You don't say.
I do say. Because...
Tell us more.
Yes, because the word by comes from the Scandinavian word by, which means village. And it is still in the Swedish and Danish language. A village is still called a by.
You could say that Scandinavia is covered in bees.
Oh, yes it is.
CR wants DLC for Asia.
That would be the most boring thing, seriously.
Yeah.
Just these constant serpentine roads trying to get up and down mountains that take hours to just get a few hundred miles.
That's the challenge mode.
Cross India trucking, holy shit. No service stations anywhere. You have to pack along fuel and just refill as you go.
Herds of cows moving across the road. That's what this game really needs. It needs animals that just cross the street and hold you up for, forever.
A random moose has appeared. Command? As I mentioned,
then you find out...
Yeah. Sorry if I interrupted you there, but as I mentioned when I got back home from the holidays, every time I take that train damn train north, we always hit a moose. Every time. And it just gets worse and worse and worse, because this time I was riding in the very first wagons. I was sitting there, headphones in, playing some mahjong on my laptop. And then suddenly there's this sickening crunch, like someone just crushing a chicken with a sledgehammer. And the entire train shakes. And I just realize, oops, we just crushed a moose's ribcage with a train. Well then.
I've managed to never hit an animal while driving as of yet.
Wish you never do. At least not a moose, because hitting a moose is more likely to be fatal for the driver than the moose, actually, interestingly enough. Because they have really long legs. You hit the legs, and then the body itself falls into where you are sitting in the car and crushes you. That is actually why moose collisions are so incredibly dangerous.
Well, there are no meese where I live, fortunately.
Or so you think.
Nah, just deers and a lot of geese.
Geese.
So many geese.
Just so many geese.
In the early fall, there's geese crap strewn about the entire town. It's ridiculous.
Really, if geese just, shit in the water, then it will be okay, somehow. But the fact that they do walk around and shit everywhere makes them sort of annoying. Also the fact that they're generally aggressive assholes, but, birds. But yeah, up these parts though, there are plenty of meese. Mooses. Moosie. Älgar. And what made this particular collision a bit interesting though for me personally was that when I went to get off the train, I realized that the entire door was just smeared with blood alongside. So people were standing at a station, and there was just these blood-covered doors that slowly slid open, and I step out.
What kind of vehicle was it?
It was a train. Thankfully. Had I been riding in anything else and hit an animal of that size, I would probably have suffered quite some personal damage.
That moon is huge.
Yeah, it's video game moon. Moons in video games are always ridiculously huge. It's the same as in Hollywood movies that are set in Africa. They go outside and the moon is literally half the sky. And that's just not quite right. I mean, sure, it is bigger, but not that big.
I think Castlevania holds the record for the biggest moons, though. I think some did calculations and they figured that in one part the moon was so big that it would basically it would be bigger than the Earth, and it would kind of pull the Earth into it and destroy both of them. Yep.
The plot twist is that you were actually on the moon all along, and you are looking at a post-apocalyptic Earth in the distance.
The post-apocalyptic Earth that just happens to look exactly like the moon.
Yes. The nukes landed. The nukes landed in a very peculiar pattern, you see. I do wonder why the Netherlands are delivering ammunition to the UK, though.
Yeah, I was about to say is got a little alliance going there. They're planning to.
If it is actually to the state we're delivering it. Warning speed cameras. The funny thing is that since England is so hilariously draconic when it comes to traffic laws and there are many cameras, and in the game they actually have more laws than the other areas. There are more laws to break and be fined for in the UK area than in other parts of the game.
Well, I noticed I get caught speeding a lot more, but I didn't what other ones are there?
They have different rules for lights, I believe. And they also require you to not use your engine brake while you're driving in urban areas. There's lots of small things like that. I don't even know which button the engine brake is on. There are a lot of things I don't know about this game.
Well, regardless, it's nothing compared to the United States, where traffic tickets are basically our police's main source of revenue.
Quotas.
They're so ridiculously underfunded.
I've been stopped by the police while driving exactly once. They had set up one of those checkpoints where basically everyone that passes through has to do an alco test. They just want to make sure that people aren't drunk while driving, and they're just really, really good at pretending. And that's the only time I've actually been stopped by a police officer, period. Most of the time I'm the one who has been stopping police officers while working as a journalist.
Interesting.
Sorry to interrupt, but apparently Chief wants to know what spit means in Swedish.
Or speet, or however you want to say it. S-P-I-T.
That is a very good question, actually. Because spit, as such, is not a word that exists in Swedish anymore. I guess it could be spit, originally. And, yes, hamn does in fact come from haven originally, but hamn actually means harbor or port in Swedish, so it's basically a port of some kind. But speed is sort of... I'm trying to find possible etymology here, but I'm only coming up with terrible, terrible things. Such as spethamn, perhaps, but because spet is what we call leprosy. Spet älskar jag spet. So, leprosy harbor, that doesn't sound very nice at all. Yeah, sounds like a real party place. Just make sure not to pick up any STDs. Or bits will literally start falling off. At least now I've memorized roughly what the miles per hour, becomes in kilometers an hour, so I can drive without accidentally breaking the law all the time while I'm in the UK in this game.
Yeah, I thought I had done that, but never works out.
What is a kilometer anyway?
There's that too, and that, I have no idea, basically.
I'm not killing anyone. Why would I need a meter for it? Silly Europeans and your system based on crazy numbers like 10. Where do you count with tens anyway?
Don't ask me.
But yeah, we've pretty much gone over the whole imperial versus metric thing in the past, and we basically reached the conclusion that while it would be simpler for everyone if, the few imperial outposts decided to finally switch to metric, I guess it's fine. I mean, shit. No one really
part
cares.
Of our national character, you see.
Yeah, I mean, American football is all about yards, yards, yards. You can't call them meters. That is not yards anymore. That is not football. What the heck are those white things in the sky over there?
Clouds?
No, they're a lot more solid than that. Just these white dots floating in the air. They're not moving, so they're not birds either.
Ghosts.
Let's see. Oh, Chief wants to know, what does Persåker mean? Well, that's a lot easier. Åker means a field, and Per is a name. So Persåker literally means Per, the person, had a field there. So it's Per's field. The etymology there isn't very hard, at least. Oh, I see. Perse means ass in Estonian, that's why Chief was curious. Yeah, I'm sorry to say it was not nearly that interesting. It should also been mentioned that the name Per, even in Sweden, is... how to put it? It's like the sort of name you expect a guy who wears knitted shirts to have, sort of.
I think I get your meaning.
You know, it just evokes that mental image. A guy with really thick glasses and a knitted shirt.
I think that's a character archetype that is entirely unique to Sweden, Arthur, I'm afraid to say.
Oh. Sounds like
Anyway.
we're going to have to start exporting Per.
So anyway, if I'm in Estonia, I shouldn't say that somebody has a fat purse. Even if they are very wealthy.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the ladies will like that. I don't know. What does Estonian sexual culture look like anyway? I don't know. I've never been.
Somehow I don't think you can just tell women that they have big asses and they'll appreciate it.
I like the badonkadonk in your trunk, baby.
Well, there goes my pickup line.
He who steals my purse steals trash.
I don't even have a purse. Am I supposed to have a purse? I didn't know that.
Oh my god, neither do I.
We are purseless. Still, even if I could have a purse, I probably wouldn't. I would have a utility belt or something instead. One of those security belts with like 20 pockets. So you can have everything, wherever you go.
They sell these wallet belts, you know, in case you get mugged.
In case I get mugged, well, by the end of it, the mugger will probably be buying me a beer because he feels so terribly sorry for me.
Yeah. Silly Arthur. Muggings don't happen in Sweden.
Oh, they do.
They're just very polite about it.
No, I'm sorry to say that criminals are the same wherever you go, more or less.
Yeah.
And now Chief wants to know about Klottorp, eller Klotorp, as you would probably say it if you're Swedish. A torp is a small house with attached land. It basically means that if you own a torp, you're a free man, basically. It was the smallest land ownage you could have in Sweden for a long time. And klot means orb. So I don't know, maybe it's a round house.
It's the Swedish language
Now,
education.
Chief. Remember, there's no Swedish part of Estonia. It's called Courland, and we're coming to take it back. Sooner or later, we're coming to take it back, and then the Russians will kill us all.
That's a joke I definitely get.
Haha, Russians. The Russians have been really cross with us Swedes for a while, actually. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but recently there's been some tension, diplomatically speaking, Sweden and Russia.
I wouldn't worry about them.
I guess
They couldn't even speak of our family.
I guess it's because we're big on this whole human rights thing, you know, and secularism and democracy and other filthy, dirty words that a proper Russian would never use. To all you Russian listeners out there, I'm kidding. But still, Putin is a dictator and you know it.
Mm-hmm. remember simpler days when everybody on the internet thought that Putin was really cool, and they looked at all the pictures of him flying airplanes and wrestling bears and whatever, and they thought he was the coolest guy. But now it's all in a darker light.
Well, yes, Frank brings up, Putin is sort of cool, though. I mean, he is an incredibly admirable person. He's just a violent asshole. I mean, you have to realize that Vladimir Putin is an amazing man. He just happens to be a very, very nasty man as well.
He tries to cultivate that image, There's also that.
Yeah, but Frankenstein basically puts the hammers the nail down in one. They were saying that great does not mean good.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great man, but he's definitely not a good man. The hell? That doesn't look like Europe at all.
I wouldn't know. Wow.
Also, I love these crash vehicle offense. I haven't even touched him. Come on. And oh, Chief, I will so gladly try and translate all the old silly Swedish town names. There are quite a few that are really, really, really weird in Sweden as well, of course. We have Penis Marsh, for example. No one is quite sure why.
I assume it would have something to do with the nature of the plants that grow there.
Yeah, yes. And as Frankenstein brings up, he and I live close to Lake Regret. Ångersjö. Which is literally Regret Lake. Lake Regret. And we're not entirely sure why it's called that either.
I live in a place called Round Lake. Very exciting.
Splendid. And yes, we of course can't forget good old priest murder.
Well, I guess if it helps, I live in a town that could possibly be translated as pits.
You literally live in the pits. Sounds
I actually live in a place where probably 4 out of 5 of the towns have lake in their name. There's Fox Lake, Grays Lake, Round Lake. So many lakes.
Lakes is all we got, bro.
Yep, it's called the Chain of Lakes. And the reason there are so many lakes is because kind of had a bunch of leftover glaciers from the Ice Age, and those are almost like still in the process of melting, so we live in this swampy, lake-filled marshland.
Sounds like a rip-roaring place.
Yeah.
Do you have any gators?
It's nice if you like fishing.
Yeah. Do you have any gators?
Oh,
no.
No. It's in the sort of the north.
Because when I was spending my holidays back in my parents' place, they actually have, TV channels. I don't watch. I literally do not have a TV screen plugged into the wall, so I can't watch TV. And there's this amazing show where it's just alligator hunters in the marshlands in the southern US. And it's like the most southern state hillbilly shit I have ever seen. Just these guys with American flag do-rags and brown hound dogs driving around in the marsh shooting gators. And it's like, yeah. Sounds about right.
I'm afraid I haven't had much experience with gators. My mother used to live in Florida, though. She once fell into alligator-infested waters.
And came up with a new purse. Oh shit. Oh damn it, Chief. It was Ulbeck. Because if had it been Earlbeck, then holy shit should you have visited. God damn it.
Does Cosby mean anything in Swedish?
Cosby, eh? Well, not really. If you switch it up for a K, though, so it would be Cosby, then it would be the village of cows.
I thought we were talking about Bill Cosby for a second.
Buddy Gripple probably was.
Yeah.
He desperately hoped that coos would mean something. But we
Close enough.
rarely, if ever, actually use C to start a word. We don't really have a hard C to start sentences with.
Too good for it? Is that it?
Yes. And Frankenstein brings up, it actually is Earlbeck. Wow, that is great, because that means beer stream. Now that's where I would want my house. You could just put bottles in there and just fish out filled bottles of beer. And yes, Gamby is in fact Vulture Village. But I don't think it's actually that sort of Gam. Frankenstein, I'm terribly sorry to say. It probably comes from gum, the other Swedish word. Though Vulture Village would be sort of fitting, because I suspect that while that place was being built, there were probably quite a few corpses lying around. As always, wherever we Swedes turned up, more or less, in Eastern Europe.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I know, right?
You need to get back to your roots.
Wearing yellow and blue and shooting people all over Europe. No, I think Sweden is in a better place now than it was. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm back. I had to switch over to the SDA marathon for a bit.
Oh?
Oh yeah, that's right. What's going on?
They just finished up the Ninja Gaiden Pacifist run.
There you go. So when is Time Cop again?
Hang on, I'll check.
Oh crap, I'm actually running out of fuel. It's the first time that happened.
Okay, Time Cop is supposed to be on Thursday around the afternoon.
Alright. Excellent. Because I really want to see that. After having played the game myself, I really want to see that.
You know what? I'm not going to watch it. They didn't read my donation comment.
What? Really?
Not going to forgive them.
Fuck them. Let's all take back our donations.
Oddly enough, they did read mine.
And they read Chief's as well. I basically told Chief that he really, really should donate because I wanted to hear how they would pronounce his real name. But apparently they got a bit lucky, so the pronunciation was almost right.
Yeah, I donated right before they started having a bunch of problems with the tracker. So then they kind of just went through the backlog as quickly as they could, you know?
Yeah. There we go. I'm only grabbing just enough fuel to finish this job because, goddammit. Wait, hold on. It suddenly said that fuel expenses are covered by your employer.
Ooh.
They must have patched that. Because when you were originally doing quick jobs back in the start of the game, you do actually pay out of your own pocket.
Oh yeah, is this game on Steam yet?
That is a good question. I know that it's been on green light, and it's been green lighted apparently because a lot of people have asked for it, so there should be a Steam release very soon.
Well, as far as I can tell, it's not in there yet.
Soon. Though, since we're talking about the SDA marathon anyway, I thought it was sort of funny that 9 AM local time for me, they were talking, and then they went, oh, and some guy named Marcus Persson donated $1,000. And I found that hilarious because they didn't know who that was. They didn't know who Marcus Persson was. And for those of you who are going, haha, yeah, they didn't know who Marcus Persson is, haha, and quickly googling that shit, it's Notch, the guy who made Minecraft.
Yeah, it took me about 5 seconds, but I remembered.
Then again, he donates like $1,000 every year, so... It's the same way he buys the Humble Bundle for like $2,000.
I donated $4.20.
Oh, you. 420 get games every day.
Yep. Yayifications is the right idea.
Smoke weed every day because prisons need more slave labor. That's something that Frankenthal and I have been sort of discussing back and forth a bit, and just how we are so incredibly confused about it, because it's actually written in American law that if you're a felon in prison, the laws against slavery do not actually apply.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's apparently why they are, you know, legally allowed to force you to work while you're in prison, because the slavery laws do not apply. You're not an employee, you're a slave labor force as long as you're in prison.
Oh, I can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that the first time I read that, I had a hard time believing it, but then I checked and it turns out it's actually true.
I can't wait to get out of this godforsaken place.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, still. I'm figuring I'll become a nurse and then I'll move to the UK.
Nurse in the UK? Huh. Good luck.
Wait, is it hard to become a nurse in the UK or what?
Nah, it's just that... What is this car doing? Hey, you can't just stop. You can't just stop again. We're in an intersection, you idiot. Move it.
Well, anyway, I was under the impression that there was actually a huge nurse shortage in the United Kingdom. So,
yes, there's basically a nurse shortage in the entirety of Europe, more or less.
Oh, good. So I can go anywhere I want.
That is a terrible horn. This truck has a terrible horn, I don't like it. Now move it. Thank you. But yeah, as Frankenthal notes that the tourists are actually moving to dismantle large part of the National Health Service in the UK because they said, oh, it's so big and expensive, and didn't quite realize that it's also one of the biggest employers in the world. So it's sort of good that it has money, because they have like, well, I think it's something like 700,000 employees or something total.
Oh well. If that's dismantled in 4 years' time, I'll go to Australia or something.
Come to Sweden instead. Enjoy the snow. The booze. The
thing about that,
the well above average, statistically speaking, beautiful women that are everywhere.
Thing is, I don't know Swedish.
No one does.
Oh, I see.
Swedish is one of those languages that is sort of infamous for never sort of spreading outside the borders of our own country. The moment you leave Sweden, you are extremely unlikely to find anyone who speaks Swedish who isn't a native Swede originally. And I can understand that, because there's no point in learning Swedish. At all. I mean, what would you even do with it?
I could just get by on English throughout Scandinavia, pretty much.
Yep.
I think it would still be useful if I was going to be a nurse, you know. I mean, I'm going to be talking to old people, for one thing. And
don't worry, we have lots of immigrant nurses. No one understands what they're saying. Haha, racism.
Yeah. But yeah, seriously, I'm going to become a male nurse.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I know.
Back in my day, everyone who worked in medical profession was a male, because women couldn't be relied upon. They just see blood and then they'd faint. Am I right? It always amuses me that medical professionals of old actually thought this and didn't think to remember the fact that women actually bleed once a month, sometimes for days on end. It would be really, 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 really annoying to bleed from your groin for 3 or 4 days every month and faint if you saw blood. I mean, the logistics of that would be terrible.
Yeah, Frankenstein also brings up, I think the medical professionals collectively realized that midwives were a thing, and maybe that skill set could be extended to other things, you know?
Well, if there's one thing we know about medical professionals roughly from the end of the classical era up until the end of the Industrial Revolution, is that they were completely insane and had no idea what they were doing. Having read the response of the British Medical Board to the idea that doctors should be forced to actually, change into operating clothes and wash their hands between operations, you realize that these people, they didn't care jack shit if people lived or died. They just thought it was fun to play doctor.
And now they're just money-grubbing elitists.
Well, society has set them up as such.
Yeah, in the United States, anyway.
The doctor is the closest being to God, after all.
I was considering being a doctor, but that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
At the height of the higher education bubble, not such a good idea.
If anything, you should wait until the student loan and scholarship policies of the US are restructured so you don't, end up several $100,000 in debt for the rest of your life.
Well, actually, one college has given me a free ride, so I'm just taking that.
Well, there you go. Yeifications, I agree, I should do surgery sims. I mean, I have surgery simulator right here. But the problem is that I can't screen cap it, because it uses one of those super silly render engines that some company made at some time, and then everyone in the same country went, oh hey, a render engine, we'll buy that from you.
You'll have to use a camcorder.
Camcorder stream LP of Surgery Simulator blind run. 1,640,000 views in the first week.
Well, at least we'll have a nurse.
I actually have 2 nurses that have guested, if we count you, so hey, we can actually bring in an whole operation team. Let's see. What else do we
can
need?
Have surgery Sundays.
Surgery Sundays. I like it. I like it. Note that down. So we would need an anesthesiologist, though. I don't know any of those.
Who's the most boring guest?
Oh shit, son. I'm not stupid enough to say that out loud, I was about to say.
I don't know, would it be me?
I don't think you're so much boring as quiet. There's a bit of a difference. Someone who's boring is someone who would just drone on and talk about useless shit while doing pretty much nothing, like driving a truck. Oh. It was me. I was the demons all along. But then again, I'm not entirely sure if it actually simulates the anesthesiology part. I think that's just handled automatically. Which sort of makes sense, because that is what the anesthesiologist would do. He would handle that for you. That's sort of their job.
You just kind of go, hey, anesthese this guy.
Yeah, and they
Alright.
keep track of what you're doing, and you report, and the nurse would report blood pressure and so on, and they would adapt the hotline machine and so on to just match up. Could I play Life and Death in Deucebox sometime, Tabamax? Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? I like doing games that have been requested, because that means that I'm guaranteed to disappoint at least one person.
Life and Death gets boring real quick. I mean, there's only 2 surgeries.
Well, it's fun if you play it as if it was the DS game, and you just draw pentagrams on people with scalpels. And I do like the bit where you're supposed to, you know, feel around on the guy's belly and squeeze and check if it's hurting. And he just keeps asking, "Are you really a doctor?" And you're like, "Haha, no."
When I played that in DOSBox, or I don't know how you can say it, DOSBox, there was some kind of glitch where whenever I would touch the guy's belly, he would scream, and the scream would last for probably a good 20 seconds.
That sounds amazing. I love it.
And it was just this long, really low, distorted creepiness. It was great.
It was not actually him screaming. It was the 1,000 young resting within his belly.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Exactly. Let's see, we've almost arrived. I think we're even on time, right? Let's see. Expected between Monday morning. It's barely Sunday afternoon. Jeez. Still, man. I would love to just have a truck arrive at my house with just ammunition, you know? Just more ammunition than I would ever be able to shoot. And just drop that off and drive away. I mean, sure, I would be arrested immediately for, you know, obtaining illegal ammunition, but still.
I was going to say, that'll get you put on all the watch lists.
In Sweden, it's even illegal to own ammunition for a firearm that you do not have a license for. So if I had a single live bullet anywhere in my apartment, well, that's jail time for me.
And then you'll blame it on video games?
Yes.
On Euro Truck Sim.
He was driving ammunition boxes around in a trucking game. It made him obsess over cartridges. I have read stupid articles in the daily paper, so...
I think at one point a lawyer tried to say that the 9/11 terrorists trained using Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Which actually isn't that far from the truth, because they did in fact use flight simulators before they went on to live classes, as you usually do during flight training.
I don't know if the clear solution is to ban flight simulators.
Yep, that would prevent terrorism.
I mean, it's not like they can learn that stuff from reading books or anything.
Yeah. I mean, as if. Before the invention of the computer and video games, no one learned how to fly. Everyone was just winging it.
Ow.
I really had to stop there for a bit of dramatic flair, because holy shit. I almost felt a tiny bit proud of myself for a moment for coming up with that one. As terrible as it was.
Oh, something I wanted to ask about with the traffic lights.
Yes.
How it goes to yellow, like when it goes from red to green, it goes to yellow, which is something that doesn't happen in the United States. Does that actually happen in Europe?
Yes, it does. At least in Sweden it does. It's basically so that you can get ready and just give people who are crossing the street a few extra moments to realize that, oh shit, maybe I should speed up a bit. Then again, we don't drive our automatics, so might have something to do with that.
Ours go right from red to green to, encourage people to do cool-ass burnouts.
I don't think that's quite why, but I'm not going to argue. Right, let's see. Yes, Tavern, what is happening with our employee? What the fuck is Henry up to?
He's French, isn't he?
No, he's not from anywhere. He's just Henry.
Oh. I was gonna say, since...
It teleported us back to the garage. Nice.
Yeah, where did you put your garage?
In Aberdeen.
Ah.
It was Brainam's suggestion originally.
I don't know where I got the impression that Henri was French.
Oh no, wait, right, we're in Glasgow. Sorry, not Aberdeen, we're in Glasgow. My bad. So what the heck are you up to anyway, Henry?
I propose that Henri is French from now on.
Just change his name. So, what the heck are you up to? Average profit per distance, 246 per kilometer. Average profit per day, 1,174 euros. So, about $1,500 then. 1,600 maybe even.
How much are you paying him?
Too much. Far too much. He gets 376 euros per delivery, that's roughly 420 US dollars, plus 1075 per kilometer driven. So, he gets about $420 just to get out of bed, and then he gets around $13 or $14 for each kilometer he drives, which means approximately $20 per mile.
Yeah, this is Europe, alright.
Yeah, I was about to say, this guy is protected by a union, that much is obvious. Jesus Christ. Right, let's pop over to the recruitment agency anyway. Do we have any promising drivers? Ludovic? No, I don't think so. Mario, Brandon, Lewis. These people look terrible.
There's really no point in, hiring an inexperienced driver and training him or whatever, is there?
Not really, I suppose. And I do like that the recruitment agency asks for only 1,500 euros for each driver you hire. Just give us 2,200 US dollars, please, and we'll, grab one of the numerous unemployed drivers and give him your phone number. Now that's a racket I want to get in on.
Ellis Thor, I think that basically every single character portrait looks like a tool.
They all look like truck drivers, I was about to say, but maybe that's not a nice thing to say. Right.
Your character portrait looks like a police sketch when they don't really have a lot of information.
He had facial hair, sunglasses, and I was wearing a hat. Yeah, close enough.
I don't know. It's probably just me, but for some reason the picture reminds me of Yahtzee.
He just talk endlessly about this game for being so boring and realistic, and there's no actual gameplay, just driving. And then he'll make a topical joke about, nerds, am I right? While making a review video for a video game. Fuck. Ah, goodness gracious.
I don't care for that Yahtzee.
I don't care for that here Yahtzee feller.
He's a full house at most.
More like the small straight. Let's see. Holy shit, wait, is this for the last 7 days? Have I seriously paid you almost 40,000 euros for 1 week's work, Henry? What the fuck?
I think Henry ran a savage burn on you.
That's over $50,000 per week. Clearly being a truck driver is the most amazing job ever. Drive thing from point A to point B and don't crash along the way, and we pay you $50,000 a week. That's... yeah.
Maybe I won't be a nurse after all.
Seriously, if trucking paid this well, everyone in the world would be in spedition and logistics. Seriously. I mean, I would be driving a truck. I would live stream my truck driving via my satellite internet that I bought for $10,000. Because it's okay, because I would just be throwing wads of money around, laughing like a maniac. I would live in my truck and just put money in a big pile.
You would burn the money for fuel.
Yes, I would have a steam engine truck that ran on money. And yeah, that is probably it. Jaifications brings up a good point. No wonder people dream of being a truck driver in the game universe, because holy shit.
You see, I think that this is like an alternate future where the Teamsters Union has taken over every aspect of global politics.
Sounds about right. I don't have any new upgrades, I'm afraid, Tapam, since we spent shitloads of money last time. Yeah, this freaking exclusive interior, seriously, it's 35,760 euros.
But it's leather.
It's not.
It isn't?
No, that's the thing. It's just a different color, for crying out loud.
And an MP3 player.
I suppose. But still, I do want to point out that for that money, you could buy a modern BMW sports car. Like the entire car with everything in it attached with a full tank. And here you get a different color and a nicer steering wheel.
Maybe it comes with a free BMW as a bonus, but you just don't get to drive it in this game.
I wish. I wish. Man. Well done. Let's see what the
I almost
looks
wish there was.
like.
I almost wish there was a version of this game where you could just kind of drive nice cars around in a nicely mapped out Europe with the autobahns and everything.
The closest
no.
you'll ever get to that, I think, is Test Drive Unlimited 2, but... that game has races, and the races are terrible.
Yeah, there's something kind of nice about following traffic law for whatever reason. I must be German or something.
Let's see. Bring a pressure tank from Glasgow to Calais. Ugh. Am I right? Let's see, maybe we should just make a really, really long drive. Yeah, from Glasgow to Paris. A 1,000 kilometer drive. Let's do it.
And it looks like you're taking the Channel Tunnel.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Oh god. Okay, what the hell was that? Oh, a car drove into me.
It's nice that the game is smart enough to figure out when it's not necessarily your fault, you know, so you don't get the penalty.
Yes, that
Even
is
though it is your fault, but, you know.
for existing. Ah, goodness. The thing is that immediately after this stream ends, I'm supposed to record commentary for a completely different LP.
Is it the cat people one?
No, it's for a completely different game, actually.
Countdown Vampires?
I'm sorry, but no. I always disappoint you, don't I, Shiny?
Well, you lied about it once, so maybe
Yes,
it is
I
Countdown
did.
Vampires.
It's always Countdown Vampires. The time has come for more countdowns and more vampires.
Well, I don't know, to be perfectly honest, I was actually surprised that I got that one right.
I had never even heard of that game.
As you shouldn't have, it's terrible.
I never saw it myself. I only knew about it because there was a couple of clips of it on this one website, Audio Atrocities.
Yep. We sadly didn't get to enjoy that much of the voice acting, but let's just say that it's completely atrocious throughout. It's really, really, really bad. And it doesn't really help that the script is terrible as well.
I assume it's it's about a game show where vampires go and they have to solve puzzles involving anagrams and math puzzles and such.
Well, that would be absolutely amazing. That is sadly not the case.
Huh.
Vampire Countdown sounds like the greatest game show.
I don't really see how it would be that different than regular Countdown, but
Well, for starters, they've lived for quite a long while, so they would have a lot of interesting and complex words.
Well, I don't know. Honestly, the thing about Countdown Vampires that really blew my mind is that, at least if IMDb is to be believed, that the main character was voiced by the same guy that did Barry Burton in the original Resident Evil.
Yeah, you can't see this, but I'm shaking my head over here in Sweden. And then you have Tail Concern instead, that actually has pretty damn decent voice acting for a game with its budget, even though the voice cast itself is rather limited.
Well, it's good voice acting for a kid's game. It's
Yeah.
really cartoony and stuff.
And as noted, Little Waffle Rye Bread is voiced by the same lady who does Ivy Valentine and Road the Bat.
Actually, it's Rouge.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't care.
Star Wars
How
Rogue
about that?
Squadron.
And I didn't say rogue either, mind you, I said roe.
So, like fish eggs?
Yes. No, the name, when spelled such, is usually pronounced roe.
You say so.
I'm terribly sorry for being European. Actually, I'm not, because it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Gotta rub it in.
And then, of course, the lady antagonist has voiced several dozen different anime characters, as she is the co-founder of Gaijin Entertainment, that dubbing company in the US. And she was also the main character in Uni. Bungie's little "This is so anime it hurts" game.
I remember playing that one.
It's a pretty
It's actually
neat game,
good.
actually. There was an LP of that fairly recently, I think. Of course, fairly recently in my time space is like 6 months ago. See, I was surprised that Tail Concerto was so short, actually. I had no idea that that was it, so to speak. I mean, it was my first time playing the game, and I beat it in roughly 4.5 hours. That's without skipping cutscenes or anything.
Well, it'll make for an easy LP.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah. I streamed the rest of it Sunday, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that one. Come to think of it.
I figured that I might as well get it out of the way, because I needed to beat it anyways.
Yeah, I missed that. I was at work.
Well, how did that whole love triangle thing work out?
As could be expected. He got together with a childhood friend, they always do.
And then cat people and dog people learn to love each other, I assume.
No, it's still complete apartheid, but now at least the cat people know their place.
Mm.
Though I do like that the bonus mode that you unlock for beating the game is basically that you finally get to be Waffle during his vacation, so he walks around with pajamas on. And he admits that he only actually owns 2 sets of clothes, his pajamas and his police uniform. He doesn't own any other clothes.
That's dedication.
And sleeps in a bed without a mattress. With a police-issue phone and combined radio right next to his bedpost. Seriously, Waffled Rye Bread is like Judge Dredd of Prairie. He lives for the law. What is sort of asshole-ish though is that in the bonus mode, if you load it up and you talk to someone outdoors, they will say, "Hey, have you collected all the photographs yet? If you do, you'll get a secret picture." And you're like, "Oh hey, I should get on my airship and go, oh haha, wait, you can't actually collect the collectibles in bonus mode."
That would
So
make too much sense.
So you actually have to restart the game. And recollect every single one all over again. That shit is not okay. Seriously, game designers, don't ever do something like that.
Well, actually, come to think of it, speaking of Amanda Winley, I think I just made pretty bad purchasing decision a while back.
Oh goodness. Here we
Tell.
go.
Well, at least if everything goes as planned, I bought a copy of End of Evangelion on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with that is all I'd say.
Well, actually, I saw it before on YouTube just because I was bored, and I really don't know.
Neither
I liked
did
it.
the team behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty much all that I've ever heard about that movie is that the guy that came up with the entire thing, Hideaki Anno or something, that basically the movie was just supposed to be a huge middle finger to his batshit crazy fan base.
Well, the thing is that Hideaki Anno is literally mentally ill. As in, doctors and psychologists have admitted that yes, he is mentally ill. He is also completely insane in his personal life, and when he originally directed and wrote Neon Genesis Evangelion, he was going through a horrific depressive phase on which he was on several heavy kinds of medication. So, yeah.
I basically think that's really cool, so I like that movie.
Well, I don't know. I kind of figured I might as well go for the DVD because from what I've been reading, there was supposed to be audio commentary track with Amanda Wynn Lee and her husband, I believe, and they just basically riffed the movie the entire time.
Yep. They founded Gaijin Entertainment together, and they are also responsible for the dub.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something about that the people that had the license for the TV series, ADV, I believe, they actually weren't the ones who licensed the movie. I think it has something to do with the fact that Gainax, I believe it was, wanted $1 million for the license.
You can have the license for $1 million.
Gainax is so weird in that it's like it's sort of artsy and it's a good studio and everything, but I mean they're all about the cash. They have so much merchandising and they're asking ridiculous prices for licenses,
Well, the thing is that they usually just do one season of a thing and then they milk it as much as they can. They're really, really good at creating on-the-spot franchises, basically. And also lots of bouncing tits, because that's what they're all about.
I almost think that's a matter of tradition.
Well, if you're hailed as the studio that invented bouncing tits in animation, you sort of have something to live up to. A bit of a reputation, if you would. And this is the part where everyone in the Skype call admits, yes, we have, in fact, watched anime. And we would like to remind you that it's actually pronounced anime. And it comes from the French word for animation. Etc, etc, etc. You know the rest.
Yep, anime is cool, y'all.
Let me tell you
Don't
about
even
anime.
about anime.
Yeah. Basically, Poe's laws applies here. It's like most anime is shit. Same way that most cartoons are shit, most books are shit, and most movies are shit. But if you just sort through all that shit, which is easily done using the internet, you can actually find some pretty decent stuff. And then we also have to keep in mind that anime is generally meant as mindless entertainment as well. Much like cartoons. So don't take anime too seriously, god damn it. Seriously. No. No, you there with the love pillow. Sit down. No. Stop throwing Pocky at me and sit down and listen, okay? It's
Your mention of love.
It's cartoons
love
from
pillows
Japan.
has just reminded me of the Barkley Shut Up and Jam Guide to Kickstarter.
Oh yes.
Donate enough, you get a Cyberdorf love pillow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I can resist.
The thing, though, that I really, really dislike about those animal love pillows is that they have basically ruined hug pillows forever. Because those things are comfy as hell. I brought this up on the stream before. But, I mean, I'm a tall guy. So hug pillows are great for me because they allow me to actually, you know, lie down comfortably without having my arms and legs go everywhere. But if someone sees a pillow like that these days, they'll just slowly but surely build this mental image that when they're not there, that you dress it up like an anime girl and eat with it. And that's, you know...
Well, fortunately, they'll never know for sure. But anyway, yeah, I am stoked about Barkley 2.
As you should be. You are allowed to get a little bit hype. Generally, I am never hyped about games. I mean, I am a terrible games person in that regard, that I really, 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 really don't get hyped. I haven't gotten hyped about video games for many years, but it's been part of my work as a video games journalist as well, that, you know, most games journalists get insanely hype about everything. They're like, whoa, another Call of Duty, again! Who would have expected 15-page coverage? While I go, oh, hello, they're making another Call of Duty, how surprising, and then I walk away. So... the few times I do get a little hype, I almost feel a little bit embarrassed, because, you know, hype is not really a good thing. It's basically a consumer driving himself into a frenzy about buying something that he has not actually seen yet. A bit like how Apple fans buy everything that has a name that begins with an I. But in any case, Barkley 2, I can actually allow myself to get just a teensy bit hyped for. Same with the new upcoming MGS game, but that's because I'm a terrible person and I love MGS.
I have to say, I kind of wish Barkley 2 was still just a, you know, regular top-down, four-direction, 8-bit RPG. But, you know, I guess the action RPG thing should work pretty well.
As long as it's basketball-based.
Yeah. The jokes seem pretty good so far, from what I've seen.
It's probably going to be like a movie trailer in that they put all the good jokes in the preview, and then the rest is just terrible tripe written by high school writing students. I'll never be tricked again. Exactly 800 euros worth of diesel, there you go.
CR claims you get hype about bread. Is this true?
Yes, I do get hype about bread and good food in general, because I'm just going to say this right now, I love bread. I am huge on bread. You know, great bread makes me happy, almost. I can't stand the white bread, I can't stand sugar-based bread, and I can't stand the crappy, shitty bread that they have in stores here in Sweden. But, you know, bring me a good, old, classic-style German black loaf or something, and I will just... oh, I will eat that thing, seriously. I don't even put anything on my bread, I just eat bread. I just grab a whole freaking loaf of bread and I will eat it. and then it's gone. Frankentan is a witness to this. He can go understand, give you a testimony of what happens when I buy entire loaves of bread and I bring them home. And then when he wakes up the next morning, they're gone.
Yeah, I'm afraid there isn't much good bread to get here in the U.S. either, unless you go to the hipstervilles in the cities where they got all their artisanal crap. Otherwise, you're just stuck with Wonder Bread, basically.
I'm more of a bread buns kind of guy myself.
Let me tell you about bread. Do you know what I like in bread? I really like sourdough bread. The one where they don't actually use active yeast. That's really nice. I like that. I also like bread with raisins in it, because I like raisins.
As far as food
and I'm also big
goes,
on
though,
rye bread. Rye bread is great too.
Yes, I agree. Rye is my favorite bread. But anyway, as far as food goes, what I really envy about your living in Sweden, Arthur, is that you get all this fresh fish. I'm in the central United States, and everything's frozen and everything's crap. And not to mention, they fill it up with chemicals so that it weighs more, so that they get more money for it. And that's no good.
Yeah, saline injections,
like
baby.
I would kill for some fresh fish.
Perhaps we can come to an arrangement, I was about to say, but it should probably not make you an assassin for fish. Because that sounds like a terrible cat-themed game. Elistor, as in regards to whether I like waffles with my rye bread, no, I eat waffles and bread separately. So no, I'm terribly sorry, but your referential joke just fell flat.
But do you have fried chicken with your waffles?
Hell no. That's just wrong.
That is a thing, in case you didn't know.
I know. I am aware of this, the same way I'm aware of deep-fried Snickers. It is something that exists, that people eat, but I prefer to believe that it's just something the internet has made up.
Okay, who in the holy mother of fuck will want to eat deep-fried Snickers?
People in the UK and people in the American South. I must admit that I'm bizarrely fascinated by the idea. Just, deep frying a Snickers bar.
I don't see why you would deep fry anything that's sweet. I mean, oil is always something
more
that's
calories. More calories. I mean, shit, I shouldn't say anything. I mean, I eat 3,000 kilocalories a day just to stay afloat, more or less, but that's because I'm a decently big guy who works out. And I tend to have a better balance of my calorie intake than, deep-fried Snickers bars, or deep-fried ice cream, or deep-fried anything, actually. I mean, shit. I have, muesli and bananas for breakfast.
Well, I'm hungry now.
So am I. I have been for a long time.
Food Chat 2013.
Now I'm just sitting here driving and various dishes are dancing across the screen in my mind.
Get a nice egg salad sandwich at the nearest truck stop.
Nice old club sandwich, that's what I like. Bacon and chicken on a sandwich. Is there anything better? I doubt it.
I'm a big fan of sandwiches in general.
We can go the KFC way and we just have, chicken, with bacon in between, and then more chicken. Then you just eat that thing.
I considered buying one of those, but
I have to admit that the first time I saw that thing on the internet, I instantly felt a distinct urge to eat one just because I wanted to know what it would be like.
But then I realized that's probably how they make their money, and they're allowed to make ridiculous things like this. People buying it as a curiosity, and I wasn't going to participate in that, I tell you.
And then you realize that once they cancelled it, millions of people demanded that they bring it back. There is no curiosity here. There is just obesity. Speaking of obesity, I saw in a recent study that people that are just slightly overweight actually live longer than people that are standard weight or obese. Of course, this study was flawed from the start because they only used BMI reports.
And we all know BMI is a conspiracy by the World Health Organization.
Well, according to BMI, I'm fat. And I wouldn't really call myself fat, honestly. And for those of you,
don't lie.
yeah, for those of you unaware, I'm 6'3" and 210. If I'm fat, then the average person is dying.
Well, basically, the main thing about BMI is it doesn't account for musculature.
It doesn't really account for anything, honestly. Still, bodybuilders, morbidly obese. And then we have those horrific skinny fat people with giant bellies but visible ribs who are clearly a healthy weight. This is why BMI is bullshit. That does not mean that you're excused, however. If you have a 34 BMI and you don't deadlift at least 400 pounds, don't even try. You're fat. And you should be less fat. Lift a weight, run a bit, then you will be less
fatty.
fat. And then you will be happier. Speaking of working out, it's time for me to pimp Fitocracy again, I think. Everyone who's not on Fitocracy should join Fitocracy, so that you can get points and do quests by working out and getting buff. It's great. And it's free.
You haven't sold me. I don't like this whole gamification thing.
But you get Shivos. And badges.
Shivos sound like they have a lot of calories.
You have no idea. I've been big on game design for many years, so I really like gamification if it's done well. Because, I mean, it's basic psychology, basically. I mean, come on. It's a instant reward system. Because normally when you work out, it takes a while to get results. I mean, shit, I know. I've been going at it for months and I barely look different. I lift a shitload more, but I don't really look any different. But I can still, you know, seek a refuge and solace in all those wonderful points. The internet appreciates me, even if my mirror doesn't. Or something, I guess.
I don't know. Get a new mirror?
I just like to compare myself to average people based on how I work out and how I eat normally, and I realized that I actually had to struggle to stay on my usual weight over the holidays. Christmas dinner was just like barely enough for me to not start losing weight. When I think about that, I realize that it will probably be very, very expensive for me to just stay alive in the future.
But you get to eat so much.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
What bastard.
But yeah, once you're past a certain point like I am, that you're like rapidly closing in on 220 pounds and you're physically active, I can eat pretty much whatever the fuck I want, and I do. But I still eat healthy because, you know, gorging yourself on fat is never a good thing. Or, well, almost never a good thing. There are very, very, very special exclusions to this, but let's not go into that, because I bet there are some fat people listening and just waiting for an excuse. And yes, I am totally fat-shaming you. Deal with it. I am a terrible person and a loathsome jerk. It says so right on the stream.
I think shaming can be constructive.
That was a nice jump my truck made there. Holy shit.
Euro Truck Stunt Simulator.
I wish. It would be the greatest game ever.
Well, until we get to the part where you keep getting stuck at the hard right, close to the explosion.
Oh, please no.
I rented that game once.
I watched the LP. And
Well, then you were probably better off, because I think by the time that I finally finished it, it was a nervous wreck.
Yeah, same goes for the LP you're in question. Still, it was a pretty fun game to watch someone else play. Especially when you realize that someone is on the 200th attempt of a mission that is 4 minutes long and they are starting to fall apart, both mentally and physically. And you feel so smug because you're getting all the payoff without having to actually play. Let's see, am I supposed to take this turn? Yes, I am. The GPS is not very clear on this. There's a red ball and suddenly a red string emerges from it on one side. Doesn't really tell me where I'm going.
These damn clover interchanges.
I don't even think we have any like these in Sweden, actually. Also,
That's because they're stupid, basically. They cause a lot of crashes.
yeah, we generally have very small and simple things when it comes to this. I think that the most dramatic highway overpass I've ever been on has something like 6, maybe, attachments. And even then there were clear and obvious signs everywhere, and people drove rather slowly and carefully because they, you know, didn't want to get in an accident. Oh, it's so complicated, we never do this usually, oh. Then again, that's up here in the north, where a road is basically as a long line of asphalt stretching out into the forest. With no signs of civilization whatsoever.
Sounds like a ball.
Yeah, especially when you get even further north than I currently, because really, I live roughly in the middle of Sweden, but north of here the infrastructure just starts to get more and more, shall we say, almost haphazard in a sense. We have one major road that extends from north to south, but past this city, it just, you know, it pretty much just disappears into the forests and mountains, and then it's just that and nothing else. that possibly you can drive for tens of miles without there even being an intersection or anywhere to get off, because there's nothing there. It's just forest the whole damn way. No one lives there. No one wants to live there.
In the United States, we call that Minnesota.
There's a reason
Really,
it's
though.
called flyover country.
Minnesota is like a miniature Scandinavia, and it's kind of neat.
And it actually has a lot of Swedish descendants living in it as well.
They love their lutefisk there.
Puritans were kicked out of England and founded the United States. Lutefisk-eating Swedes were kicked out of Sweden and established Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. I actually almost went to the University of Minnesota. That would have been interesting.
And now someone brings up the Vikings, the football team. Speaking of, I saw the Packers-Vikings game over the holidays. I very, very rarely get to watch football games, but I actually sort of enjoy watching football. I'm a bit weird in that sense as a European, I guess, because, you know, I know the rules and I know how the game works. That puts me ahead of roughly 99% of the European population.
It's as good as any other sport, I think.
I don't know, my parents usually just watch soccer and darts.
Yeah, more of a
Darts. The
Like
sport
soccer
where
and baseball.
the sport where they changed the rules that you couldn't drink beer while playing, and people threatened to boycott it. But at least it's not snooker. Freaking snooker, holy shit.
I don't really understand snooker, but I do like a good game of pool. Especially when there's money involved.
Bit of a hustler, eh?
Oh yeah.
I've said it before, but I stick to curling. Because the greatest thing about curling is that most people have no idea what curling is. So every time someone challenges me to something, I say, let's curl. And then they look really confused, and then I explain how curling works, and they think it's the dumbest thing ever. But they don't know. They just have no idea. I mean, in what other sport is a pair of brooms part of the equipment? Actually, just honest-to-God brooms.
Now, are the brooms there to decrease friction on the ice, or is it like for something to do with air resistance or something, or what are they there for?
You reduce air friction. Basically, you walk sideways. You strafe along as the ball comes sliding, and you pull the brooms quickly back and forth across the ice to just slightly melt the surface to reduce friction. And then you adapt the amount of brushing you do depending on how strong the curl was and where you think it will end up.
So is curling a Swedish invention?
Who knows?
Its origins are
cares?
shrouded in mystery.
And I never said it was a ball, Chief. When did you hear that?
It sort of looks like an iron.
No, I didn't.
Wikipedia says Scotland as well, so... But we all know that everything Wikipedia
everyone
is not true.
argues about the mysterious origins of curling. But no one knows.
So, I mean, have you actually curled? Before?
Once. But I used to live next door to the junior world champions in curling.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that before.
Yeah. I actually met one of them at the gym only yesterday. He was doing some badass squats, and he suddenly just looked at me and went, "Oh, hey,
It would have
it's
been
you."
better if he was doing curls.
I wish. Actually, if you want to curl, well, you probably shouldn't curl very much. You should do a lot of lunges, more like. But yeah, he's a great guy. The only thing is, the last time I saw him, he was this tiny, hollow-cheeked little blonde boy, and now he's like 240 pounds of muscle. He's huge.
I'm guessing the world of competitive curling is heating up. He has to compete, you know?
The increased use of steroids.
It's a big problem in curling.
It's a sport where physical performance is everything.
That and keeping your broom well groomed.
Very much so. I wonder if there are different brands of curling broom. Is there like companies that specialize in this? I know that there are actually different brands for the stones themselves. That the Olympic stones, for example, are actually provided by a certain company that has a contract for it.
Quite a niche market.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, it's not like you sell that many every year. Then again, they're not really that hard to make either. I mean, you just, take the right mineral, you polish that shit up until it's the right size and weight, and then you put a handle on it. Not really a complex construction. Chief notes that the Olympic curling stone is supposedly made out of granite, which I am very willing to accept.
Granite is a cool mineral.
Yeah, but don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
As I said last time we went into mineral puns, that I'm really looking forward to someone getting feldspar in there. I don't know how it will happen, but it will be glorious. And as usual while driving at night in this game, I'm not entirely sure where I am. I only know that it's very, very dark.
Don't worry, you're in Europe. Nothing bad happens.
This is the UK. What about the roaming bands of shavs? What if I hit the Queen?
Chavs are harmless if you ingratiate yourself to them. Learn their ways.
That sounds like the worst anthropology mission ever. Apparently there's a tiny side road over here on that side that you can drive on because it's on the map. See, there's a grey on the other side for some reason. Does this count as two separate roads? Now I'm curious.
Are you allowed to use left-hand, in real life? Are you allowed to drive left-hand drive vehicles in England?
Oh yeah, it's perfectly fine as long as you keep to the right side of the road.
I would assume.
It would be sort of bothersome to, you know, take a car vacation otherwise if you were British.
Yeah, I know some countries ban, any cars that don't have the right setup.
Usually because they want to sell more cars.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect there's a bit of an economical interest there. Let's see, shouldn't I be reaching the port pretty soon, I hope? Let's zoom out a bit. Yeah. I'm about to head into Dover.
Dover, Delaware. You really got off track.
Took the wrong turn at Albuquerque. Which is something pretty much every blues artist ever has done, apparently.
Albuquerque must have a really messed up road system.
Yeah, judging by the number of people who take a wrong turn there, it must be a complete haystack of roads. Dover is to the left, alright. I have noticed that... No, sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, I'm looking at a bird's eye view of the city of Albuquerque right now, and the highway system actually looks pretty ridiculous. So, there's that.
They probably got angry when the Warner Brothers cartoons kept using that line and went, "Oh yeah, we'll show you." Just on purpose build it as stupidly as they could. I was going to say that I've noted that now that I'm driving my own truck, I am quite a bit more careful with what I'm doing. Because this one I actually have to pay for the repairs. I made the mistake of smashing it once, I'm not going to do it again.
In my game of Euro Truck, I'm thinking about getting a new truck. What do you suggest?
Any particular brand you're looking at?
One of the good ones.
Swedish trucks it is.
For my paint scheme for my truck, I actually did do the Swedemobile.
The Swedemobile. Nice. But apparently the stats are different for the different trucks. They have... mainly the engine is the thing, because the engines are very, very different. The Renaults, for example, are terrible. They have no power whatsoever. But in return they don't they don't gobble fuel, they more like take careful sips of it once in a while. But apparently both the Volvo and Scania trucks are pretty well regarded both by the game and in real life. Which I certainly hope so, because with all the effort we Swedes have put into making good trucks.
I don't suppose there are any American companies.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought you said you wanted a good truck.
Yeah. Actually, I'll be the first to admit we make crap automobiles of any sort.
Oh, now. The Chevy Volt was amazing, especially when they kept exploding after the flooding in New York. That was great. Entire parking lots of electric cars just blowing up. Especially like when Chevy said, well, you see, it's not a flaw in the design. There's nothing wrong with the cars per se. It's the water, you see.
Maybe you should try not getting flooded.
Yeah. Have you tried not having your car submerged in water? Yes, up until this point that was all I've ever tried, but I just figured I would do something different.
A Chevy Volt is not intended for amphibious use.
Crap car.
No, a Volvo.
Yeah.
That'll get you across the Baltic Sea.
Hell yeah, it will. You do know what a Volvo means, right?
I roll.
Rolling? Yeah.
Exactly. Because they always keep rolling. Even downhill, or sideways. Or underwater, or in an avalanche.
Except when they don't.
Yeah, except...
Then you have to get expensive ass repairs because you live in America.
Sorry to hear that. That is very much not a problem for us here in Sweden, as you might understand.
Saabs were notorious for breaking down, and then basically it was known that if you buy a Saab, you're going to end up paying more for repairs than you paid for the car itself.
That is very depressing to hear, because Saabs are fairly reliable vehicles here.
Here they're known for being nice, and they run well when they run, but they break down a lot, so I don't know what the deal with that is.
Huh. I guess we have export market versions, I was about to say.
Yeah.
But
of course we don't, they went out of business. Very sad.
at least the car division did. I mean, they still make fighter aircraft. And the aircraft are a lot better than the cars, I'll say that much.
So basically, if I'm not mistaken, Volvo is the only Swedish car company.
That's left, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it as well is having a lot of trouble staying afloat.
Oh, that's sad to hear. I like a Swedish car.
Well, it's sort of silly, really, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the cars. I mean, in fact, people admit that the cars are pretty damn great. It's just that we can't build them as cheap as you do in the US, because you know, use underpaid labor, substandard materials, and design cars that both look shit and drive like shit. But most people just want a car, especially in the US, where you pretty much need a car in order to survive. So we can't...
We don't even pay for our cars here. We just take out a loan and then, you know, live in debt for the rest of our lives. It's the American way.
Debt-based economy, hell yeah. But yeah, basically a Volvo can't really compete with that, because the Volvo was originally intended as sort of a, you know, family investment sort of thing. It was a car that was supposed to be able to do everything, take you anywhere. And it was supposed to run for like 20-25 years without any trouble. But today that's not what the average car consumer is looking for.
Here the Volvos are known as the car whose headlights are always on.
There you go. Well, it's dark in Sweden because of all the winter, you see. We have a lot of winter.
So I hear.
Please help me, it's dark and I'm cold. But no, seriously, now that it's now here in January where I live, I mean, the sun is already down at 2 PM. So, you know.
Usually gets dark around 4 right now, 4:30.
4:30. Where do you live? The equator? Jeez. Luxury.
Which car? What kind of car do you drive, Arthur? If you drive at all?
I don't. I prefer to walk, or if I definitely need a vehicle, bike. Oh shit, here we go. Time for a toll ticket.
You live in one of those nice places where public transportation is actually funded.
Well, not really. And this entire part of the country is pretty much designed for people with cars, because all the distances are ridiculous. But I'm the sort of guy who will walk 4 miles if I need to, so... I have long legs and I'm a quick walker. Still, the best solution is not to leave the house more than necessary. Do what you have to do. Let the internet handle the rest. In an era when you can order stuff cheap as hell all the way to your door, there's really no point in going outside.
It's true. Of course, I live in America, so I have to drive.
Yeah.
It's part of the conditions for being a citizen.
If you don't have a car, you are not human. But yeah, from what I understand from viewing many of the TV shows I see, pretty much American car culture is almost at that level, where if you don't have a car, it's like people are honestly surprised. They don't understand how life works without a car. I mean, I come from a family I come from a family where the family itself, so to speak, the family unit once formed, got its first car when I was 14. And then they sold that car and got a bigger car, which was a really nice car actually, when I was 17. And after that point, we didn't really use it all that much, and then we ended up selling it, and since then we don't have a car again. And everything's worked out fine anyway.
What's the name of those, like the Swedish guys who like are really into hot rods and wear leather jackets or something? And I read about those once.
Oh yeah, Jesus, let's see if I can remember the term. Oh, my head is standing completely still right now. I know exactly who you are talking about, because there are plenty of them in this town.
Raggare.
Yes, raggare. That's the word we're looking for. Raggare.
Yeah.
The verb ragga basically means to more or less aggressively try to pick up ladies, is the thing. So if you ragga on someone, you're basically going to do the "hey toots, going my way" sort of thing.
The pickup artist.
Yeah, or more like you would see in 1950s and 1960s movies that talked about greaser culture. That's the thing, because ragga basically grew out of the greaser culture and then sort of got stuck in it. So they love jeans. So all their clothes are made out of jeans. And
the reason I bring this up, I mean, I sell jeans, and I swear one of those guys came to work the other day. I mean, how much do jeans cost in Sweden?
Clothes are fairly expensive in Sweden, actually.
But yeah, he was Norwegian, but I think that culture extends over all of Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had a Harley Davidson jacket and everything. It was neat.
And, oh my god, look at how cheap this is. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we have a lot of Europeans come in. I mean, just because they're so expensive there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
jeans
German.
is one of those things that I can really understand picking up while you're in the US. Because, I mean, a pair of jeans here, you could probably get 4 pairs over in the US. And I mean, they're the same because they're all made in Bangladesh anyway. Though I suspect if you sell Levi's and stuff, they're actually made in the US of A.
I do sell Levi's.
How unsurprising.
The jeans are made in the USA, but everything else we sell isn't.
I suspected as much.
Yeah, I don't really mind talking shit about them at this point, because I was a seasonal hire and they're cutting me loose pretty soon.
Oh dear. But hey, at least you can look forward to becoming a male nurse.
Yep.
A male nurse that knows all there is to know about genes. Multi-competence, baby.
Yeah, I picked up a lot of pairs just because I got an employee discount. Learned a lot more about genes than I ever thought I would know.
For example, did you know that the blue color actually comes from dipping them in the sea? It's true. Check that shit. Also, this has to be the worst toll road ever. I mean, it's just a straight freaking road with a toll booth on each end that it goes, okay, now you have to pay $60. I mean, are those like 5 miles of road there really worth $60 every time you're passing through?
Yeah, you gotta fund that welfare state somehow.
We're in France, for crying out loud.
Oh.
Finally approaching Paris. I'm not sure if I've even been to Paris in this save.
I think I recall you have.
Yeah, I probably made a quick visit, didn't I?
You should really have the Plaza de Charles de Gaulle, or whatever it's called, the worst driving place ever in the world.
Yeah, the very idea of actually driving a truck into Paris is the sort of thing that I honestly think you could build an entire game around that.
That's the final challenge.
Yeah. Just get into Paris and out without crashing into something.
Park some dynamite under the Eiffel Tower.
If you want to wreck
Show
that
those
thing,
Frenchies what for.
you'll need a lot of dynamite.
Is this game moddable to any appreciable
It is
degree?
extremely moddable. There are shitloads of mods already.
Time to make Euro Terrorism Simulator.
Perhaps not quite that moddable. Physics-based destruction engine. Load up your truck with dynamite and drive into well-known landmarks all across Europe.
That would be great, actually.
Fuck red lights. I don't even care.
Time to start a Kickstarter.
Euro Terrorism Simulator. With a name like that, I'm sure you will get nothing but serious people shipping in. Not to mention all the positive press you will get. It's like that guy who was making a flash game called Taliban Sniper. And he got just completely ruined until it was revealed that he actually meant that it was a game where you were a US sniper shooting Taliban, and then it was suddenly perfectly okay.
I don't remember that. I remember the guy that made a flash game that was just, killing as many Muslims as possible, basically, in a, Smash TV sort of thing. And there was a big hubbub about that. That was a long time ago, though. That was like 2005.
Back in the good old days. And people still believe that the Iraq war maybe perhaps kinda sorta was necessary after all.
I still don't get roundabouts.
There's nothing to get. It's basically people going, you know what? We won't have to do any maintenance on the lights if we just make the road a circle. But yeah, roundabouts kill plenty of people every year. Which is not entirely surprising, because most of the people still driving on the roads did not get their driver's licenses when roundabouts were standard. So they literally do not know how to negotiate them at all. I have experienced that firsthand in traffic in the city more than once. People that just go in and then they go crazy because they have no idea how they're supposed to drive, so they just drive and hope that they get out alive.
I mean, why for any reason would you go to the inside circle of it? Why is that even there?
Because that is where you're supposed to be, my friend. Depending on where you're going.
Like I said, I don't get it. I have never had to navigate one.
You pray it stays that way.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of experience.
It is. Jeez. Alright, let's invest the skill points, and then we can end the stream for today, I think. So, stream chat, what do you think? Fuck echo driving.
I think it's time for you to become green, Arthur.
No. I want unburned diesel to drip out of every orifice of this truck forever.
Come on, stream chat, let's hear it.
Because I said no to echo driving, no one wants it anymore.
It's eco driving or nothing.
Maybe we should just try to max out long distance so we can get cross-Europe drives, because that sounds like shitloads of fun.
Oh yeah.
Now, that's the thing, is for high-value cargo, fragile cargo, and just-in-time delivery, you really don't need any more ranks than the base rank, because it's not really worth investing in.
Well, I mean, you get paid more.
Yeah, but it's like a few percent. And I already have unlocked the urgent deliveries. I don't think there are any more urgent deliveries to unlock, so... Yeah. You know what, I'm just going to grab more long distance, because I really want the final rank so I can go from all the way up in Aberdeen, all the way back to Verona in Italy and stuff like that. It's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, let's hop out and see what the heck Henry's up to. Where are you and what are you doing? You're still delivering that fucking pressure tank. Holy shit.
I think you mean Henri.
Henri. Why would it be a Y at the end?
Sacre bleu, I just cannot take the pressure.
You need to stop drinking wine on your hauls, Henri.
He's going from Dortmund to Glasgow, and he has 12 hours left. Where the hell are you? Usually, I wish you could see your drivers on the map so you could figure out what the hell they were up to. I mean, I can see myself, and I can see garages. Maybe
I don't think Henri
select
actually hauls.
No?
I don't think he actually hauls anything. I think he just goes on a cross-Europe tour, hustling and, doing bank jobs.
Oh, you, Henri. Oh, you. Man, every time I see my truck, I realize what a horrific mistake it was to spend all that money on it. Why? Why did I do that? Oh well, there are new upgrades available, so let's see what we unlocked. New bull bars.
Oh joy.
Yeah, that was amazing. One new bull bar and some new front wheels. Whoa. Yay. So anyway, let us save our game and then let's screw this noise until next week, of course. So let's just leave it at that. Shining and Buttergribble, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And thank you all you viewers, of course, for sticking around and watching as we drive shit around Europe again. Forever. And ever, and ever, and ever, and ever, at least for a few more weeks. So, well, this is it, I think, but keep a lookout, because I'm still very much in a streaming mood, since I have been suffering without any streaming whatsoever over the holidays, so I'm all about putting in extra streams and midweek streams everywhere I can.
So many streams.
Yes. Streams.
A river of streams.
Well, maybe not quite that many. Anyway, make sure to keep an eye out on Twitter and in the thread, and we'll see what happens. And until then, have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Ugh.